Join me in welcoming Connie Sylvester-Beier. Hey, Connie, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Did I say your new last name right?
Yes, buyer. It's beer with
Okay,
an I.
perfect. So, I'm so blessed to get to know you, but tell people a little bit about who you are and all the stuff you do in the world.
Well, I'm often told by many people, and sometimes it comes off as a little insulting, is what haven't you done? And I've done a lot. I've never thought that you only have to do one thing at a time. I'm a multitasker. I'm a mother of three amazing children. I have several businesses, and I have 5 patents. And now I'm writing a book. So it is a little annoying, I suppose, when some people talk to me and go, literally, what have not you done? I've been an airline mechanic. I've owned a daycare. I've traveled the country selling my water rescue tool. And now I'm on task to be coming out with 3 more products. And I just opened an antique store just so I could have something fun to do.
And last year you were running for mayor or something like that too, weren't you?
You know what? I was going to run for mayor. I was. And then I met this amazing man, and he moved me away from that little town and our bigger town into this little adorable little town. And I literally was here for 3 days, and someone's like, "You should run for mayor." I just got here.
That's awesome. You were on Shark Tank too, weren't you?
You know what? I was not on Shark Tank. I was actually asked to be on Shark Tank back in the day when they first came out. But at that time, they took 5% of your company just for showing up. Even if you took a deal or you didn't take a deal. And at that time, I didn't have enough to give them 5% without getting a deal. And then Mark Cuban actually contacted me because I was one of those businesses you really wanted on the show. And he said that they were dropping that 5% take because they weren't getting companies like mine. And I told him it was too late. I'd already sold $430,000 worth of shares in my company, and I didn't have anything left to give him. And so I never went on Shark Tank. I definitely could have. It would have been a great introduction to our business. But I was on the Discovery Channel, though. That was really fun.
I was thinking Mommy Armor was on Shark Tank, but maybe I was confusing with something else.
Nope. I was on Fox News. So and that's kind of part of my book. That's how I found out about you and that I should write a book. But I was in the first ever Made in America conference in, I think it was 2019. It all runs together now with COVID, doesn't it? It's like, what year are we in? Because I think we lost a year. And but I was at that conference in Indianapolis, and it was wonderful because it was where I really got to show my new product, Mommy Armor. And unfortunately, because of COVID, has kind of taken a back seat, but we will get back to it. Where they featured me on Fox News, and it was pretty cool. So Carly Simkis interviewed me and said I was one of the most influential people she'd ever met, or inspirational, excuse me, because I'm a mom, and all of the products that I come out with are somehow to save your kids or to make someone safer.
One of my favorite Connie stories, if you don't mind telling us, is you had like 300 bucks and a car and you just jumped in your car. Tell us about that.
Well, my company was failing, many ups and downs. Water rescue is not an easy company to break into because the industry really hasn't changed much, and the people who work in it are a stubborn little bunch, and I love them dearly, and most of them are now my friends, but some of them still are not. I developed interruptive technology. ARM-LOC was a product that people didn't want to believe that it worked because it's so unbelievable. It goes on your arm, you pull the cord, and this huge blood pressure cuff attaches to your arm and you can't get it off. But my company wasn't doing well, and somebody had told me to start doing these 1-minute little videos. And I'll talk about my medical issues, why I'm not doing many videos right now, because I have suffering from eye disease. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But so someone inspired me to go out and show my product off around the country. And I had no money. And I remember taking $300 and gave my son a big hug. And I said, I'll be back. And I left for 7 weeks with $300 in my pocket. And I remember the first night I was driving, and I was like, well, if I can get to Texas, it surely should be warm enough I could sleep in my car. I got to Texarkana, Texas, or whatever it's called, and it was 35 degrees. I think it was warmer back in Minnesota. And so I called my son and I'm like, do we have enough money? Can I spend the night in my car, or can I get a hotel? And he's like, we have money. You sold an ARM-LOC yesterday. You can sleep in a hotel. And I literally traveled half of the United States, went straight down and all the way back up, and turned my company around. I met the most amazing people. I booked on 100 and some different distributors throughout the country. I sold ARM-LOCs. I had my car packed full of ARM-LOCs, and I just knock on the door and be like, hey, I'm Connie. This is ARM-LOC. Let me show it to you. Can I show it to you? Can I come in to your fire department? And they let me. These people let this weird lady traveling in her car like a homeless woman all around the country and let me walk into their fire departments and rescue squads, and I sold them product. And by the time I got back, I think I had over $7,000 in our account, and I left with 300.
Your book is called Divinely Guided. Tell us a little bit about what inspired that and what the book's about.
Well, when I started this product, I had no intentions of selling or manufacturing or patenting anything. I was on a vacation with my now ex-husband, and I was on this vacation in Seattle, and he had sailed for years up in the Bering Sea, and we were visiting with his cousin and some other sailor friends of his. And all of a sudden they were talking about the fact that they lost one of his friends and he died. So we're talking, and all of a sudden I thought of this product that my brother had come up with years, like 20 years prior to that. And I just remember telling the captain about my product and saying how I think this could have helped. And he's like, well, if you did this to it, or if you did this to it. And then all of a sudden everyone started giving me all this great advice. And I felt this amazing sense of like, I have to do this. Like, I'm going to pop out of this shell and I'm going to make this work somehow. Somehow I'm going to do this. And I feel like God was touching me at that moment. And he was saying, you need to do this. This is who you are. And the guy looked at me, and I'll never forget it. He says, you do something about it. And I soared home. And I begged my brother to help me. And unfortunately, because of his issues, he really couldn't be a positive part of this company. And, that was a hard pill for me to swallow. And I talk about that in the book. But I really have felt that God has placed influential people in my life at the exact moment I needed them in order to get this across. And it has not been easy. I have had physical issues with my Graves' disease. I have suffered through a loss of a marriage, a loss of our family, and it was really difficult. So, but I believe that I'm still being guided every day, and that I'm not letting my past define me. I'm letting it guide me. And my whole premise is I'm going to be better, and I'm going to do better, and I'm going to do better than what I had when I grew up. So my children are very important to me. And that is one huge thing that I will continuously be, is a better mother than I had.
What advice do you have for people who it just feels like it's impossible? Everything's against them. What advice do you have for them?
Well, I'm not going to share you the same story that's the first page of my book because I was asked that question on stage by a Fox News reporter had asked me that same question. And I tell the story about my high jumping story. But I would definitely say, listen to your heart. Do not listen to the dream squashers. Don't listen to the naysayers or the green-eyed monsters. There's this funny thing about success. People don't want to see you have it. They don't. They say they do. And they'll try to convince you that they are on your side. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll find out that they had not had any intention in helping you or wanting to see you succeed. That is a crushing blow to anyone, especially a woman, but to anyone to know that there are more people sometimes rooting against you than for you. That's when you have to grow some thick skin. And besides the first story, which you got to read the book to find out, I think it's an amazing story. But truly, you really have to have thick skin because people are not going to have your back. And you've got to be a big girl or a big guy and put your pants on and make sure that you walk this earth with intention to do good. And I really feel like sometimes it's overwhelming and some people don't come back from it. And I know I handle adversity a lot differently than I did 6 years ago when I started this company. I would lose my head. I would lose my mind if I found out that someone was, trying to plot against me or trying to tell me that this wouldn't work. And I would be upset and I would internalize it. Now I'm just like, give it up to God. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I find it's working.
That's so amazing. So tell us a little bit about the products for people who don't know. Where can they get them? What do they do? Tell us all about it.
Well, ARM-LOC is water rescue innovation. It's a company I started 6-7 years ago now. You can go on my website, which it's super easy to find. It's just www.arm, A-R-M, like your arm, -LOC.com. It is used for water rescue and ice rescue, man overboard. But we are going to be hopefully selling it in some retail stores soon. Because my new saying is don't wait for the rescuer, be the rescuer. So instead of waiting for the Coast Guard to show up, you can throw somebody in ARM-LOC and save them. My other device, Mommy Armor, was inspired after some school shootings. And I dabble in some ballistic things that people ask me to help make for them. So I just happened to have some ballistic panels laying around my house. Sounds kind of funny, but I do. And there was a school shooting on Valentine's Day. And I thought when I got the text message that it was my son's school, but it wasn't. It was Broward County in Florida. And I remember when he got home, I said, I'm going to make you one of those ballistic backpacks. And my son said, well, Mom, you can't use a backpack. You have to leave them in your locker. So what good would it be? And I said, well, what do you carry with you every day? And he goes, well, I have to have my 3-ring binder, my daily planner with me everywhere I go. And I said, well, go get it because Mama's going to make it ballistic. And that's how I came up with Mommy Armor USA. We do have a website. It is not updated. There's a face page on there. But unfortunately, like I said, to COVID, we hope to have it out for purchase. It's already patent pending and everything, but we hope to have that out to purchase this coming fall. So 2021.
Can you give us a hint what the other things you're working on are, or are they too super secret to share?
I can. I'll give you a one hint. I bought a jet ski this year, and I'm so paranoid. This is how I come up with stuff, is because I'm like, well, I got to make this for my kid. So if I want it for my kid, you surely would want it for your kid. And so up here in the lake of 10,000 lakes in Minnesota, we love to take our kids out on inner tubes and try to whip them off. And you fly around on the boat, and some people in the city don't have any idea what we're talking about. But you whip them around, and your objective is to actually launch them off of the tube. And I moved from a really large lake to a really tiny lake. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I launch 3 kids, then I got to go pick them all up. And let's just say it is a alert system that won't harm anyone, and it's commonly used, and it will be out in the stores in the next 2 months. But the patent is not pending yet, so I have to finish it. But it's an alert system so that other boaters can see your kids in the water and you can go pluck them up and pick them up and they don't get run over. So yeah, it's
Nice.
a necessity type thing. And then
I love how your mind works.
I know, right? And then I have another one for fire jumpers, completely different genre that I'm in, but I listen. I talk a lot, but I also listen. And so when I'm listening to firefighters talk about what they need, I came up with a fire blanket that will be better served for them when they are fire jumping into like California and the mountains. And if a fire goes over them, it's a blanket that will stay in place and they can protect themselves with it.
That is so awesome. So for somebody who wants to learn how to tap into being divinely guided, what advice do you have for them while we're ending here?
Well, you know what? I really think that you have to listen. You have to go to a quiet place and you have to pray. Many, many times I have prayed, and many, many times God has answered me. And many times he hasn't, because it wasn't my time yet. You would think, well, this is such a great device. Why aren't you a millionaire yet? And it's because it's not my time. I am still here to do some other things. But I definitely feel like you have to pray. And I'll tell you one story. I prayed so hard one day because I thought, life is not good right now. And it was about the beginning of COVID. And I thought, am I supposed to be doing this? I've spent, even more money now on this company, and sales aren't great. And all of our salespeople are home and we're not selling anything. And I prayed and I went to bed, and I remember praying and praying and praying. And I asked God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be spending the rest of my retirement money on this company that's not giving me back anything financially? How much more can I take? How much more can I give? I can't actually give much more. What am I supposed to do? You tell me, give me a sign. Am I supposed to continue to do this? And I swear to God, I woke up the next morning to an email. The very first thing, my phone went bing. And I woke up and it was the Fergus Falls Fire Department telling me that they saved a woman with my product that night in a water rescue. She had gone down this river, and it was a very swollen river. They'd had a lot of rain, and she got turned over in her kayak, and she was stuck in a downed oak tree on the shore of the river. And it was a swift water rescue. And a lot of people say my product won't work in a swift water rescue. Well, guess what? It did. And God made it happen. And that was my sign that maybe I'm not supposed to be a millionaire. Maybe I'm just supposed to make life-saving products. And there are people on this earth walking right now because I did it, even though there were more people rooting against me not to do it.
That is so awesome. The book is called Divinely Guided, A Journey of Building a Life-Saving Business While Saving My Own. It is by Connie Sylvester-Beier. And I am just so grateful to have you on with me today. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. And again, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, they can just visit me on my website. It is www.arm as in Mary -LOC as in Charlie.com, or just Google Connie Sylvester-Beier, because guess what? Amazon pops up. I did it this morning. And it's only the first chapter of my story. So I definitely have 2 other books that I'll be writing with you guys and getting that out there. I did have a girlfriend read my book before we published it, and I said, well, give me some advice. And she goes, I just want more. And I'm like, well, that's a good problem to have. She goes, because I know you and I know that you're tough as nails, but I know there's so much more. And I said, well, it's a short book, and there'll definitely be more. And so I'm excited to continue to work with you guys. And I thank you for all your help.
Thanks so much for being with us. I really appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a good day.